Hello all and welcome to Tuesday Q&A. I'm your host Roland. With me today, my expert Ursinity. Ursinity.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fantastic.
Fantastic. Good. That's better than dandy. That's better than delightful. That's better than daisy. How? What's going on in your life?
Never said Daisy.
I thought you said daisy.
No, Dandy. Dandy's one I go to. Dandy, Grand.
Grand.
I think those are the ones I've used in the show. Grand is a good one. That's that's how you impress like somebody's like dad or something.
Yeah.
You shake his hand like, how are you? I'm like, I'm grand.
Sir, I'm grand.
That's a good one.
Never been better. Week. How's your week been? I haven't talked to you. What's new with the Ursi?
That's a good question. Nothing exciting. I just on the pre-show we revealed some interesting reading material I've been investing myself in. Other than that, I'm relaxing. Honestly, I'm off this semester, so like I'm just bored to death. Honestly, I have way too much free time. Like all I do is work and then come home and play Dota and podcast, which is fun. But it's like I just have too much free time.
Yeah, I dropped out last semester, October, I'd say, and goddamn, it feels great. Wake up when I want to. That's about it. Yeah, no, it's actually terrible. I wish I had a more structured lifestyle, but my Dota has definitely seen a huge increase.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Feels good to be better than all those people that once didn't believe in the Rolanda. Because we're not. I guess you didn't even believe. I mean, when we were talking before the show started, you said that Grouty is better than me, and it's like what? Like
you guys are pretty equivalent.
He's beat me mid every single time. He's a better mid for sure. Unless I picked Viper, and then I'm almost certain I could take that match.
He would just not play that matchup.
Yeah,
that guy hates Viper like with a passion. Like the amount of hate that I give for whatever hero of the week I hate, he gives to Viper nonstop. Like
Viper deserves it. Viper deserves it. Necrophos deserves it, and Ember Spirit deserves it. I'd say those are the big three. And TA like. So correct me if I'm wrong. Before we get into the show, I have a question for you. TA versus Viper, on paper, Viper wins, yeah?
Yeah, every time.
Okay, I got wrecked by a TA as Viper, which is like, I couldn't believe my eyes. She was so good. Oh my God. And come to find out she just picked TA, he or she, whatever, picked TA all the time.
It's an easy matchup to lose, to be fair. Like, if TA in any matchup really is, unless it's like a Jakiro, if you're not familiar with playing against TA, and if the TA is good, you're gonna have some issues.
I just thought I'd have to like
on
spit
paper,
a Q.
yeah, the Viper should be winning that matchup pretty much.
Yeah, I was just like, indeed.
Yeah, it's like I like TA, and I play a good deal of TA.
I saw you.
I just won a game with Proud. It was a wild game actually, with me playing TA, and TA definitely, she has that element of like just the side blades as a concept is like one of the most high skill cap, high reward things that's so like hard to do and manage. But so it's easy to get wrecked like in any matchup if the other TA is just harassing with side blades every.
Yes. Okay, so I need to couch something for everybody that is listening and or watching. Skype is the way we're going to have to do this for this episode. There is pretty bad weather throughout the United States. Bad weather in New York, bad weather in Utah, and for some reason we're not getting a great connection with Skype. So if you hear a little bit of audio disturbance and or for people watching video disturbance, it's unfortunate that we live in 2017 and this is the only way that I can get like a live video feed of Ursi. So I apologize in advance if there are any cuts here and there with Ursi's audio quality. We did some tests beforehand. It sounded pretty good. But unfortunately, you're just going to kind of have to deal with it with this episode. I'm going to go ahead and blame weather. I'm pretty sure that may be one of the leading causes of it saying that I have a poor network connection when I don't.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's the government trying to shut us down. They got, what's the name of that thing? HARPA. And they're controlling the weather.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to shut DotP down, and we got to revolt as we are so prone to doing against the oppressive regime of the Illuminati.
Yeah. So please bear with us on this episode. I understand perfectly that Ursi sounds like he is speaking underwater right now. It's unfortunate, Ursi. Your audio quality isn't great. I'm gonna be honest with you.
We'll live. What we won't.
I mean, it's kind of bad. It's kind of bad.
Well,
but
I can do nothing about it. So
there's nothing that we can do about it. So you guys just pretend that Ursi is like on the ground somewhere reporting, we're doing this via satellite phone. Okay, of course everybody gives makes an exception for satellite phones. That's what we're gonna do with this episode. Anyway, let's go ahead and chug along. We have a lot of call-ins today. We have a lot of questions today. I'm extremely excited to have as many call-ins as we have today. Hada Kamara is going to call in. I'm super excited. I like Hada Kamara a lot. Hero. Yeah, she's been around forever and just is super cool. And like, I feel like I align with her opinions pretty well. And she gives me shit, and I love it because she ain't afraid. Like, she did a Patreon thing where she was like, I'll donate $1 for every time Roland admits he's wrong, which was hilarious. So anyway, let's do some housekeeping here.
Let's.
First and foremost, we'll take a caller here real quick. We'll take a caller from Kuma. So Kuma has come on the show many, many times. He's honestly provoked a lot of fun questions, in my opinion. He's turned people, like, almost his questions have like turned into segments, sure, with his items and things that he picks like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll see what Kuma has to say. Kuma is a 1500 MMR player. Kuma, what's your question, my friend?
Hey guys, my question just about with which heroes seem strong this patch, with Roland, you hitting magic damage Ember as well as Necrophos for that episode today, and Ursi with your constant disposition toward Monkey King.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree there.
Yeah, and I faced a Shadow Demon Luna today for the first actual time it went well, and it was not too fun. But
yeah,
in general, how would you sort of balance that aspect of really strong heroes this patch if it's too strong?
I mean, each hero in and of itself is kind of its own problem, right? I think whenever we talk about overpowered heroes in any patch, in any metagame, whatever, it's generally heroes that are strong in all phases of the game, or they do a lot of different things of clear weakness. So Luna is far and away the best carry this patch. I think pretty much everybody would agree with that. She's the scourge of pubs, especially Luna SD, but even just Luna is ridiculous. And her whole thing is that she's good in the laning phase, she's super fast, she's decently tanky, she builds cheap items, so she scales in the mid game really well, she pushes well, she team fights well, she can deal like just regular team fight damage well, she just does a lot of things and she's good at them. And so that's kind of where you see that like this hero is just too good at all the things. So balance wise, what we hope is that one or more of those things is nerfed a bit. So Ice Frog famously, he balances by making the good parts of a hero better and the bad parts of a hero worse, instead of just making everything at like a middle ground to okay. And so I think that's what he needs to do to like these heroes that are really good right now. Like Magic Damage Ember Spirit is an interesting way to play, and I think it's really cool as that's opened up, but 15% at level 10 is too much. That's just that. And like Veil arguably should just be nerfed in general. So I think that's what's going to happen basically is some of the heroes that are like way too overtuned in certain very specific things, like Ember Spirit's level 15 or level 10 talent, are going to get tuned down just a little bit, and heroes that are
just
weak
a little bit or like a lot of bit, because it feels like a lot of bit, like 15% at level 10, like and level 10 seems to be when Ember Spirit coincides with his Veil. So it's like he has his brown boots, he has his PMS, I don't know, sometimes Quell, sometimes not. And then Veil comes in, and then level 10 comes in, and then Searing Chains kill you. And it's like, what in the fuck? This isn't fair. And then you just pick Viper.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like they had to tune it down to like maybe 10% or
8%.
All the ones
7.5.
8%. I guess so. I think like it's hard to make these sweeping things where like you'd think like 5% is not that big a deal, but like it really does make a difference. I don't like. I feel like Veil should just be tuned down just a little bit. Like it seems really strong on like Necro and Ember Spirit and any support. Like the stats in it are great. Everything about it's great. I think. Yeah, I think Ember Spirit really does need like little tuning differences because people have kind of figured out how to play against it now. And they're adjusting, but it is still quite good. I think that's undeniable.
Yeah. I feel like it's not. So I went on that tirade on the Monday show about Ember, and I was like,
Yes.
oh, this and that and this. And I realized that Viper does not allow it to happen. So it's not like it's unbeatable by anything. Necrophos, on the other hand, I find to be unbeatable by just about anything as of late. It's just he gets he farms too easily, in my opinion. Items are just super good on him, like I don't know, Veil, Dagon, Ags, all way too good.
Yeah.
The fact that they put Sadist in with Death Pulse, I feel like is like a huge buff to Necro, because before you had to kind of be like, okay, I want 3 in Sadist and 1 in Death Pulse, or 2 in Sadist, 2 in Death Pulse. And now it's like, I'll just get 4 in Death Pulse, and that's like, may as well have 6 skills now, or 5 skills, excuse me.
Yeah,
I don't know. He feels the most broken of all, and I think his win rate is the most broken. I'm pretty sure. Necrophos is.
Probably overall, yeah. I mean, in like 5K plus, that's not the fact. He's only, well, I mean, I say quote unquote only, but he's at a 54% win rate, give or take, at 5K plus. At 5K plus, the best hero by a good margin is Treant Protector.
Which makes sense.
And that's the hero, honestly. Like, that hero does a lot of stuff, and he does a lot of stuff well, and he fits the metagame really well. He needs some tuning down.
Well, the one thing that got me that I didn't realize is I knew Treant's new Nature's Guise allows him to bash when he comes out of it. I did not realize that pierces spell immunity. Holy fuck! Like I here I am. I'm a Sven, and I turn my BKB on, and a tree just pops me, and it's like it hurts so bad
Done
that
for 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's like what? Like 1/5 of my brand new BKB is now gone because I got bashed by a giant invisible tree that walks around with an orb of venom at level 1 and wins a lane. Talk about lane dominator, global presence, has a crazy way to get gold, can scale infinitely, can take over the map. Good. Yeah, I'd say Treant Protector is one of the strong, like as far as supports go, the strongest support out there for sure.
Yeah. Roots in general are also really strong, so his ult is like doubly godly in that like he just roots, and like roots are better than stuns in some situations now. Like because roots are longer, like they're balanced to be longer than stuns to mitigate for the fact that they aren't stuns, right? But now with all the buffs to roots, they're becoming so good that like you may as well have a root be equivalent to a stun in a lot of cases. But that's kind of obviously that's an exaggeration, but it's hard to balance these kind of things, basically. Like it's nice. Like it's very easy for us to like hop on a pedestal and be like, oh well, clearly I just need to give Ember Spirit 8 extra percentage spell damage at 10 instead of 15. But like, these things are difficult to do, right?
Absolutely.
So I have faith.
Kuma, did that help you? Did you agree?
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying, but I have one counter question.
Okay.
Ursi, you said something about Ember Spirit. Now people understand what he builds, and that people can sort of counter him by understanding him. Do you think that Monkey King has reached that stage, or do you think he's just too strong on his own, based on what you've said and what other people have said as well?
I think people have adjusted to Monkey King in the sense that like now they know what his spells do, which was for the first couple of weeks that was like a big burden of knowledge in and of itself, because they're all very like unique, and unique things in Dota are hard to get used to. I think people are better at playing against him, and people are picking him less, but I do definitely think the hero is still like too good, but at the same time I don't think he's like absurd like he was when people didn't know how to play against him. Like people are kind of now adjusting, so he had those minor nerfs. Now adjusting like, okay, he has 300 attack range, and they're like, they can keep that in their mind. They know what items he's going to build. They know yada yada yada. And I think there also is an element, and this is kind of like a weird metagame thing. Since he's banned so often, you don't see people being able to just spam him every game and like perfect the build, like you could if you're playing like Necrophos. Necro is rarely banned, and like now he's being banned more, but especially like a few weeks ago when it was early in the patch, he was getting banned, you know, maybe 1/6 of games, if that. And so people could just be like, I'm just going to play Necrophos every game, or like Treant Protector. People don't really ban that. So Monkey King suffers from the fact that you can't just spam him every game because he's going to be put up for ban virtually every game. So I think there is an element of that is helping us out, like as a game.
I still do that, and I need to switch that over to Necrophos because I'd rather deal with a Monkey King, honestly. I feel like
just ban Luna.
Just walk out of the circle. Like I feel like that and watch for trees and buy a Quelling Blade or play Enigma or something like that.
Yeah.
Kuma, thank you so much for your question, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Of course. Next up on the line, we have Kruger. He is a 3,940 MMR player. He is good at the game due to his MMR and my assumption. Kruger, what is your question, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not much.
So my question is on how to play as a team versus playing your own game, specifically as a core. How do you balance it out, really? I have two examples. Like, if you're playing offlane and your team's in trouble, and you're like barely scraping away with evening out in the offlane, when do you leave the lane to sacrifice your tower to help your team in a fight? And the other example is about carry. Basically the same thing. Like, you want to farm and you want to stick around in your lane, get last hits. But at some point your team is going to fight and they're going to lose and they're going to blame you for not joining the fight. So how do you balance those things out?
Good question.
Yeah, perfect question.
Take it away.
So this is an issue that I think virtually everybody that plays a core position hits, and it's like the classic thing, like, oh, why didn't mid gank? Why didn't your safe lane gum do yada yada? As Kruger brought up, I think the core of it is knowing the power curve of your hero. So I was actually talking about this in Discord with somebody earlier, but using Juggernaut as an example as a safe laner, you hit like a big power peak at level 6, right? Because Omni Slash is like virtually a free kill at the very early levels, right? And it's just about knowing, like, okay, I am strong at this point and that point and that point, whether these are skill like oh, I just got Tidehunter ult, oh, I just got Clock ult, I just got, yada yada yada, and knowing, like, okay, I now have the ability to rotate to a lane and be useful. Whereas if you have not hit those points, then you rotating does absolutely nothing. So to bring up an example, for instance, the DotP Devils played this previous Thursday in 8012, and in the game that they lost, they had an offlane Beastmaster that rotated to mid lane, and like he had like level 3 boars, he had 1 level in ult, and it was a reactionary play, and it just made no sense, and he just like lost a bunch of golden XP, and it was just pointless, right? So that's clearly like a mistake in the sense that he did not realize, or he just compulsively made that action, that due to his levels and his amount of farm, he was just completely like irrelevant, right? So it really is just, when you're talking about like specific heroes, it's knowing, okay, I'm playing Luna, I just hit 7, I have ult, I have level 4 Lucent Beam, I can do stuff now. And on the same time, knowing, okay, I'm playing Luna, I'm level 5, and there's a team fight in mid lane, I'm going to do a whole bunch of nothing, so I'd rather just farm. Similarly with items, right? Like, oh, I'm playing Luna, I just got Manta, and I have HOD, and I have Aki, and I have Treads, let's push. Or, I don't have these items, let's not push. Like, it's a lot about just internalizing, like, okay, I realize I'm behind, so I need to farm, I don't need to fight. If I fight, I'm going to be worthless, and vice versa. And, okay, I'm Tidehunter, I just hit 6, all the other heroes on the enemy team are low level, because they didn't zone me well, and they, like, tri-laned or something, and like, okay, I can TP anywhere and Ravage and win a fight, or I can, I just hit 6 on Death Prophet. Let's go push. So it's about knowing those kind of things.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I am below Kruger. Kruger is definitely a better player than me, but I talk about Viper because I've been playing Viper. Viper is, I get a mech. I then plead with my team to be with me and take all the tier 1s, which I feel like is like a good, it's like a good benchmark, I guess, to say, when I get this item, we go ahead and do this. No farming, no more farming. Well, there's a Viper in this game. I want to win this game before 30 minutes. This is not a farming game. Like, when you can establish that, even in the pick phase, that, hey, I'm going Viper, we should push when I get mech. Even though you're going Luna, get a Dragon Lance and get Yasha, and we should line up pretty good with my mech and your Dragon Lance and Yasha, and then we'll be able to push like mad. Type thing. Kruger, how did that help? Anything?
Yeah, that's great. There's one detail, I guess, that I'm missing at least, or that I want to follow up on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're losing the lane that you're about to leave, does that change the stakes in any way? Like, do you want to ignore a power spike if you're about to lose a tower, for example?
Yeah, so there is always, right, like, there's cost to rotating, and sometimes it's like, oh, their enemy carry's going to free farm, and other times it's, oh, we're going to lose our tower. Tier 1 towers in general are like, they're good to have, obviously, but they're not the end of the world if you lose. So it really is, you just have to gauge, am I going to gain more than I lose? So, for instance, if you are Dire off lane and you're playing Tidehunter, just to keep using the simple example, then they have like a Sven farm in their lane, but there's a team fight that happens mid and you have ult. Like, it's totally worth it to TP and get 3 kills, let's say, and then push the mid tower or the safe lane tower, even though the Sven's going to take your off lane tower, right? Just because he's going to do that, and it's just kind of something you have to accept, right? So it really is, you just have to, whether you're winning the lane or losing the lane, just accept that, like, you want to gain more by rotating or doing anything else, then you're going to lose from staying, right? Because, like, you're probably going to lose that tower anyway. Like, if you're laning into Luna, let's say, she's going to take your tower. Like, that's going to happen. And holding on to that, and, like, especially if you're someone without wave clear, like, if you're playing, I don't know, like, Earthshaker off lane, like, you're not going to want to commit all this time and all this XP and all this mana to defending a tower that's going to get lost regardless. So you just kind of have to make that tough decision. And a lot of times it will be tough, but a lot of times it'll be simple. It's like, okay, like, they're in the tower, but whatever, we're going to win a team fight. And, you know, it's only tier 1, right? So kind of got to make the best of a bad situation at times.
That was damn insightful. Would you agree, Kruger?
Yeah.
That was like some 5K knowledge
just
dropped right on us. Like, 5,000. It's heavy. Kruger, thank you so much for your question.
No problem, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. And we will. Yeah, Ursi. You know what I'm starting to realize? I'm looking over at you. Have you ever seen Sin City?
Yeah, but not a long time.
You know, like Elijah Wood, where his glasses, like, you know, like, you can't see through his glasses because of the reflection.
Yeah.
Like, that could, you could definitely, like, double, you know, be his double. Make yourself a little bit green.
That'd be easy. I thought about taking my glasses off to record for, like, the sake of the video, but, like, I would not be able to see anything on my monitor, so it would not be very useful when I have to, like, look up stats or, like, look at anything. So
I thought you were just pulling
stuck with what we got.
I thought you were just pulling this out of your 5K pocket. I didn't know you were going to.
The glasses definitely helped me get 5K. That's for sure.
Yeah, we should do a glassless stream, and see. Oh, I'm not saying this one. Although look
I could
at
do
those
it temporarily, but
I'm
when
saying
somebody's like, "Oh,
you should play Dota without your glasses," and we should see just how much it impairs your play.
It would be much worse than when I lost to you after drinking. I'll say that. Like,
you think I could beat you?
My mouse.
You think I could beat you mid if you didn't have glasses?
Oh, easily. It's like
can
playing
we do
as a
that?
blind person.
Can we do?
I mean, if you want to, I can, like, see things.
See, you're accepting it again, and then I'd rub it in your face, saying I was better than you and then you'd be like, I didn't have glasses, and I would totally downplay that.
I'm blind.
You can't do that. All right, our next question is from Razzie. His MMR is 2600. Razzie, sir, what is your question?
How you guys doing?
Well, I'd say well.
You guys love the tie shirt combinations, by the way. Makes you look real professional on stream.
Thank you.
So my question is two parts, but they're both related. One is going to be, in this kind of real fighty meta, I was wondering how you guys think about choosing what moments or scenarios you start fights or skirmishes in. And as kind of a follow-up to that, what do you look for in terms of quality for your initiation and decision-making when you have like your 3 or your position 4 start a fight?
Okay, so first and foremost, Razzie, unfortunately, probably due to inclement weather, your microphone's not working too great either, but I think we caught the gist of that. Yes, Ursinity?
Yeah, I mean, just about fight prioritization, right?
Yes.
So when you are, especially if you're playing 3 or 4, it's always so hard answering these questions because it's so like dependent on what you do. But I guess we'll break it down into roles of 3s and roles of 4s, right? So we have initiators. So somebody like a bat rider, right? His whole job is just to initiate, and that is just the job like of the person that is going to pop in, pop out, and do his job. Similarly, like if you have like a Magnus or something, their job is to initiate. But you also have 4s like Sand King that they can initiate, but they're better at doing that reactionary. Like, okay, they started the fight. Now I'm going to come in with my epicenter. So when taking a fight, you really have to think about what your strengths are and play to them, and what the weaknesses of the other team are. So, for instance, let's see. I just played a game, and it was a great example. As I BS for a second, I pull it up. It was a great example of a game where their team had a very clear way to win team fights, right? So I'll just read off the comps. Their team was Sand King, Slardar, Clinks, Rubik, and Shadow Fiend. And our team was Weaver, Pudge, Lich, Lycan, TA. So their team had a very clear way to win fights, right? They want to take these big fights where they get a big Epi and a big Shadow Fiend ult, and then they can pick us off with Clinks on the sidelines and Rubik CCing us. And same thing with Slardar CCing us. Whereas our team, we have a very skirmishy thing where we want fights to last long, and we can deal with like an epicenter on 1 or 2 people, or with a Clinks on 1 person. But when they would win tons of team fights on these team fight, like full scale team fight, eventually, like we learned, and you have to play to your strength, right? So we started taking these fights where we would let them play to their strengths, they thought at the beginning, but we'd like blink out of the way, or we'd BKB, etc. And then we would play our strengths and just take these skirmishy fights and like chase them down with Weaver bugs and with TA jumping around and Pudge hooks, etc. And so it's just a balancing with saying like, okay, we take team fights by doing this method well, so we want to accentuate, or we want to lead the game into a state where that is going to happen, and vice versa. Like, we're not good at taking straight team fights, so let's like split push. Let's not take straight team fights. Let's do stuff like that. I think that's at least part of the question. Honestly, I
would
think
agree.
I may have missed a...
Razzie, it was definitely hard to hear you, but I think our expert did. It was hard to hear you, but I hope you were able to hear us. Were you able to hear us well?
Oh yeah, you guys came to clear.
Yeah, it's only a rolling problem. Don't worry.
Yeah, this has been a show that we are gliding through like I do with the snow. Razzie, thank you so much for your question. I hope that we answered it correctly. You have a great day, my sir, and thank you for your patience, especially you, my friend.
Man, that's how you should send off every questioner. Thank you for your patience. Gee.
Well, his patience was long overdue. He ordered a shirt like forever ago, and I just barely got it to him. So, or barely got it ordered to get to him. So,
yeah,
DotP does fulfill its promise. DotP pays its debts, like a Lannister.
Yep.
Okay.
So, usually. Said usually. All right, I left the caveat there.
Okay, thank you. So let's get some questions out of the way, and then we'll go back to some live callers because we definitely have a ton, and we need to actually kind of like move it so that this show is not like 4 hours long. Gushi writes in the 6K memer MR. He asks, what is your favorite DotP or Dota meme, and what's their favorite food? You can go ahead and answer this first.
Okay, my favorite DotP meme has to be Ursi Drops. I've grown to love it.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm into it. My favorite food. It's always a hard question because it like varies so much on like the day. But I'm a good fan of like a nice like spicy chili. Like it's not like an interesting answer to say. Like,
no, it's not.
Could have said something obscure, but like really, really good, like, hearty chili is honestly such a treat. That may be impacted by the fact that it's outside and it's winter, so I'm cold all the time. But that'd be up there. Or, let's see, there's this Thai place near me, and I'm sure there's like an official Thai name for it that I don't know.
Do they have a better?
These things called...
Do they sell better Thais than the one you have on?
No, they don't. This is a great Thai. They're like one of these great places that's like all first generation American immigrants. So it's like super authentic, like amazing Thai food. And they make these things called curry puffs, which again, I'm sure there's some fancy name for them that's in like Thai, but they are one of the best things I've ever eaten. They give you like the little cucumber chutney. Oh man, they're great.
Yeah.
It's all like curried vegetables and chicken in like a little like pastry pocket thing.
Yeah.
Oh god. I'm salivating just thinking
Pastry pocket. All right. My favorite meme is definitely when I did the level 1 Roche, and it's the meme where it's I made this, you made this, I made this meme. That's by far my favorite meme. My favorite food would have to be Indian. Definitely
I
Indian.
thought we were doing specific foods.
No, specific food would be, all right, I'm going to get shit for it, but a medium spiced chicken tikka masala, okay, with naan, garlic naan, okay, and then I also like to take their onion pakora. So pretend my hand is a piece of naan, imagine it. You put the onion pakora on top of the naan. I'm holding a half piece of naan. And then I go ahead and I take some rice, sprinkle the nice jasmine rice on there. And then I take the curry, very lightly dabble it on, close it into a sandwich as though it were a gyro, and down the Indian food. That would be my favorite food, hands down.
If I had to pick a genre, it'd be halal. Like, going into New York City, the only reason to go to New York City is to get halal food, honestly, as far as I'm concerned. God, it's so good. I'm hungry now. You're killing me. I just ate like 2 hours ago.
I'm starving too. The problem is everything closes down here at like 4 p.m. So there's no way. Like, my options are McDonald's if I'm lucky, if they're still serving food, because the whole of my city has to eat there.
Man, I want a gyro.
I want a gyro, man. Ooh, a fresh gyro.
Get it with the fries inside?
Where the lamb is just spinning around. You see him slicing off that meat, because it's good. Like I said,
with fries inside though, right? Like the real way.
No, I've never had a gyro with fries. I've put fries in my gyro, but I've never like ordered it with fries in it.
That's like how you get them in Greece. Apparently, I've a lot of Greek friends in my area. Yeah, and if you put Greece at like the stalls and stuff, like it's just like a street food. Yeah, you get fries inside of it a lot of times. And the Greek place near me, they have their like generic gyro, and then they have the signature gyro, and the signature one is their one with fries, and it really changes it. It adds a lot of like
texture, carbs.
Yeah, it's just heavy and it's so good. And
does it have the lemon spice, like the lemon spice that they put on their fries? That is delicious. No. Oh, that's
it's just you have the tzatziki sauce. I usually put some hot sauce on also. And then, your onions, your tomatoes, your gyro. You
want to say gyro. I have a feeling you say gyro a lot. And it's actually gyro. Is how it's pronounced.
Near me, they've just accepted that that's how, like, non-Greek people say it. And so it's called Gyro World. That's how, like, they answer the phone. And, like, clearly just, like, accepted that that's how it is. But, yeah.
It's not a gyro. Like, that's what my old father-in-law says.
I know, I get it. I'm just saying.
I love me them gyros, and it's like no. Okay.
Regardless, that's tasty.
It is. They're one of my favorite food groups as well. Tequila 2200 MMR. With the amazing hero Monkey King, I find myself in a game with or against him a lot. It seems that every time I'm against him, my offlane feeds him 10 kills, and he has 2 divines at 25 minutes and is one-hitting everyone. And when I have one of my team, no one tries to build around a Monkey King, and he falls behind and we lose. So my question has 2 parts. How do I stop or slow down a Monkey King that is snowballing out of control? And what type of team comp should I be going for to help the Monkey King thrive on my team?
Okay.
Quickly, because we've got live callers waiting.
Yes. Okay. So the gist of it with Monkey King, the best ways to deal with him are just to CC him right from the start, so that he can't get his ult off, or let him get his ult off and then pull him out of that. So then like a Bat Rider or Pudge, playing Pudge against Monkey King is like a piece of cake. You just hook him out of his ult and it just disappears. And do you want to, if you're trying to accentuate him, also cutting down his trees. That's also really good. Play a Timber,
Quelling
or
Blade.
Beastmaster, etc. Well, yeah, Quelling Blade in the landing phase.
Enigma.
Also. Enigma is probably the best at doing that. I think it's really good at it. And then if you're trying to help a Monkey King that's on your team, pick team fight stuff so that he has time to let his ult go out. So if you have like a Tidehunter or a Magnus or a Rubik, even, just to like pick somebody up and make sure they can't deal with your Monkey King, and just keeping people inside of the pit is really good. Disruptor is another good one. Right, you just want to control that area and keep people inside of that area.
Wait, I tuned out. Are we talking about Dumb King right now?
Oh, well, he goes by many names.
Okay, no, thanks. Not on this show. We got a question on Discord that wasn't formally asked, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it anyway. And this is something, Ursi, that you've been around for this entire process. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this, as well as my opinion on this, because you were outside for a little while until you were incorporated. The question is, how would you suggest starting a podcast about Dota? How did you guys get into doing a podcast about Dota? So how it started was with Denny and I. Denny, if you want to even unmute yourself, you can go ahead and pop on. Your mic isn't that bad, because this is a question that I find I would like to answer, actually, because it was pretty interesting the way it started. Denny and I were in a car. Denny said this is a market that isn't over inundated. We went for it. We started talking about Dota. It was initially a noob thing, so I would say first go for a niche. Use free advertising like Twitter, Facebook, those types of things, and then once you get fans, appreciate them. Or not even necessarily fans. I hate that. Friends or people that listen to the show.
I like fans. I'm a big fan.
I will point out that the first 4-star review.
Oh my God!
This has been pointed out so many times, Denny. So many times.
I read it every day.
This has been posted.
That's maybe my favorite DotP meme.
But so what happened was there were people like Ursinity, Easy Marchese, and a few other people that started listening very early on. And this was the best way to grow the show, to be honest with you, was communicating with your fan base, however small it is, and making sure that they feel like they want to listen to another episode. Because if you go back and listen to episode 1 of Defense of the Patients, it's shitty. It's really shitty. It's not interesting. Denny sounds like he's on NPR. I'm afraid of the microphone. I'm shivering. Wazoo is talking about how great he is at 2200 MMR. Why the fuck anybody started listening to us, I have no idea. I would say, Denny, persistence and appreciation of our listeners.
Yeah, and we also didn't try to preach that we knew anything about Dota initially. We just tried to document our personal journey through the game, and that kind of turned into this. It kind of happened organically, I guess I would say, more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. So, Ursi, from the outside and now to the inside, what do you think about the whole podcast process?
I would say it's a lot more work than it seems like. So I listen to a ton of podcasts because it's just the nature of my job. It has me sitting at a desk for 7 hours, which means 7 hours of podcasts, or like 6 usually. So I will say, like, I just like podcasts and I like Dota, right? So I just look up like Doji podcasts and I listen to a few. And I think it really drew me to DotP especially, and other podcasts in other realms of interest of mine, is that I like consistency. So I'll say if you're looking to make a podcast or make articles or make anything else, start casting, start doing X, Y, Z, consistency is key, right? Like there are tons of podcasts that I have tuned off of because it's like, okay, they make an episode like on a Monday this week, next week there's going to be no episode because like something comes up, and then the week after that there's going to be an episode on Tuesday, or like things get delayed, like there's all these issues. So if you're making something, really like commit to it. Like people want to hear content that's on a regular basis. They don't want to hear content that's like, wonder if there's going to be a show tonight.
Yeah, consistency. I would say that was probably the thing that we had going for.
Denny and I, although Wazoo left us early on, then came back and then left us again, unfortunately, and it's been sad. Denny and I, it was really tough. There were days that we didn't want to do it, and honestly, our listenership wasn't huge, and it would have been very easy one Sunday night or one Wednesday night to just say, you know what, fuck this, dude. This takes up too much time. But the consistency and then bringing in people that, you know, that you jive well with. I mean, it took a while before Ursi came on, and then Proud. And as you people who have listened to the show for a long time know, there were a lot of people brought on before we've come down to this kind of Final Four. And I would consider it a Final Four where we all work together well. We are all working, I'd say, equally toward making this project work. It's hard, like Ursi said, and it takes a lot of work. But I believe that anybody can do it. I believe that everybody is interesting.
I would also add that our community was a huge motivator. I don't want to sidestep that.
It's not us. Yeah, it was the community being built around it was something that we didn't. It just happened. Like, I don't know why it happened, but it happened, and
it motivated the consistency, which I mean, you and I have done a lot of creative stuff in the past, and not everything stuck like this did.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And speaking of people who helped grow this community in a big way, our next caller is Hada Kamara. She is 6,000 MMR. Hada, what is your question?
Hello. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to remember Wazoo and his beautiful salt.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Rest in pepperoni.
Yeah,
And-
put some salt on the floor for him.
There we go.
Yeah.
Pour
I'm
some
trying to
salt
keep the
for him.
ghost out.
Okay, so my question is, what do you see in the future of Dota 2? Will there be a TI 15 or 20, or will we focus to a new game? And will this game be a copy of Dota, or will it be something completely new?
Well, I imagine
Great question.
like this kind of it comes up like it's something because when you look at like esports history, right? You look at games like StarCraft, you look at games like old Counter-Strike into new CS:GO,
Doom.
like it just Doom, yeah, even to go like way back.
Yeah.
There are consistent like esports is transitory, right? Like it goes from one thing to another, and everybody's kind of looking for a thing to stick to and be like, oh, okay, like Dota has been around for 1 billion years, and that's fine. And because we had that with traditional sports, stuff like that. Like, you know, you look at chess has been around for hundreds of years, baseball 150 years. Like these kind of things have longevity. So I hope that Dota is the game to stick around for decades. And it's already been well over a decade since Dota 1, if I recall correctly. Probably more like a decade, maybe not well over. But Dota has staying power, I think. It's the nature of the game, being that it is so complicated, unnecessarily so. I think we can all agree at some points. But Dota definitely has staying power, I think. And I think eventually there will be a time where it's like, oh, this is Dota 3. And people kind of jokingly say that about like Source 2 or 7.0, etc. But there will come a point where, like, for whatever hardware limitations or whatever, is going to be a like Dota 3. I would not be surprised at all if that. But I do think Dota is going to be here to stay, and like the MOBA genre, if you want to call it that, there. I don't want to get into the argument about ARTS or whatever. So just call them Dota-like games, or Aeon of Strife simulate. Oh, there's so many names for it, but this genre clearly has staying power as a like 5v5 or 4v4, what have you, esports that's engaging to watch and enjoyable to play. And so I think it will change over the course of time, but I would not be surprised if when you look to like esports history 50 years from now, Dota is going to be a significant one. And I would not be surprised if TIs keep going for another 10 years or whatever.
Yeah. This was actually a big thing for creating a podcast was, okay, we're just going to do a Dota podcast, and when Dota dies, as do we. And that was kind of a concern, but we realized that, I mean, ever since we've started playing Dota, Denny and I, that is, it's only grown with players. There's a great developer, a great team of developers, a great company behind this. The game, the only thing that I would say that hurts the longevity of Dota is that they've watermarked themselves with the TI and the prize pool. And the year that TI doesn't beat the previous year, everybody's going to be like, Dota's dying, Dota's dead. But I wish they wouldn't have done that. I wish it would have been more like how they're doing the majors, where it's $3 million every single major We know we're going to get that. We know we're going to make that. We can fulfill that. Opposed to next year we have to get 30 million, and the year after that we have to get 45 million, and the year after that we have to get 70 million. It's not a good business model to set precedents. So I would say that's the biggest issue. Honestly, I was worried about Overwatch taking over, but it turns out Overwatch is actually a shit spectator sport. So it's a fun game, and people love to play it, but apparently it's terrible to watch. This is just from what I've heard from people playing BlizzCon, or people going to BlizzCon.
I
heard this from Denny, from somebody who went to BlizzCon, that Denny knew, that Denny then told me that. Denny, do you want to pop on the line and talk about this real quick, about why Overwatch is a shitty spectator sport? I remember.
I have watched Overwatch as a spectator sport, and not like in a stadium, but like I've watched their tournaments and stuff, and it just doesn't present well due to the nature of the game. So
I am always 10 seconds behind you, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and pop in and tell us what's up. Like, what's up with the
I have a couple of coworkers that went down to BlizzCon late last year, or whatever the last one was. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Wiverick says he can comment on this, so you can ask him as well. But,
I will.
He said that everybody kind of popped in because there was a lot of excitement surrounding Overwatch, and it was really hard to follow. It was very clearly boring the crowd, and by the end of every match, everybody who came in had pretty much already moved out to go down the hall to watch a StarCraft match.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one guy. That's anecdotal, one person.
Sure.
But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, how many times have you and I talked about CS:GO being a dull, to watch?
But obviously, it's not as dull because there's a huge community around that. I just think of like Tracer, where she's like choo 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 through the match, and it's like, how do you follow that?
I think it's first person shooters to me seem like the hardest thing to actually, I don't know, participate in and watch.
But this is a first person shooter with abilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like
sure.
it's even harder in my opinion.
Yeah. I enjoy watching CS:GO, but like CS:GO is very different to like Overwatch when it comes to like spectator value and like how it's set up.
And they've gotten good at spectating. I'm gonna bring Hada back on the line. Hada Kamara, what do you think? Like in answering your own question, what do you think about the watermark as far as prize pool every year and other esports coming in?
I think that we're still in that sort of like how would you say? Not linear growth, exponential growth of technology and video games and stuff. So I think that we could keep maxing out that prize pool because, more and more people are still getting connected to the internet across the world and joining in on these sort of environments that weren't available to them before. So I think we can keep increasing it, but you're right. Like we're going to reach a point where it levels out and we can't keep that hype train going. But I also think that Dota is just such a sport, like, you can keep learning about it even after playing it years and years and years. And I've never had anything else that I go and watch and it gets like, when it's like that third game and everyone's like getting really hyped and it's crazy. And like, I feel like first-person shooters and stuff, you can't really get that because you don't get that overview. You just see, and you might miss something miss a really cool play because everything's happening so fast. Like if you've ever seen like Call of Duty being played, it's insanely fast. Like you don't even know how fast they move that camera.
Yeah, it's really hard to follow. Well,
so I think Dota's around to stay.
I do too. Hada, I do want to extend my thanks to you for being a staple member of the community, and just being an awesome person. It was great to finally get to meet you in person in August. That was fun. I feel like we still didn't get to spend enough time with your crew, with the Goosh and the Nameless. But I had a blast, and it was great to see you guys, and thank you so much for everything you've done for .p.
Oh, well, thank you, and hopefully we'll get another chance to hang out.
I'm sure we will. Okay, yeah, I hope Dota's around to stay because it's my favorite. Yeah. It's my favorite video game.
I certainly hope so. I quite like podcasting. So
well, we could always hop on another train and try and do this all over again with a little bit of wisdom. Anyway, our next caller is Wyvrix, Wivrex, Wivclinks, Wivrax. A very funny guy. The guy who wore the robe on stream. He's hilarious. He's nice. He's been a friend. He's sent me Jesus candles before. I really like the guy. He's 3,500 MMR, like I said. Wivrix, what's your question?
Hey, Roland. So I am trying to learn how to play Lifestealer. I just had a question about the skill build.
Oh, okay.
Should I max Rage like you rage at Cyphus every time he plays Elite Dangerous? Feast so I can feast on health like you feast on Cyphus's happiness? Or open wounds like the psychological wounds I hear you inflict on Cyphus every Monday?
The skill build? So I go
Yes, sir.
I go open wounds. I go like a 003. I want max open wounds. The rage, I only get a value point in rage. Feast, I like to do like a 1, 2, 3, and then the ult would be what is the ult on Lifestealer again?
Infest.
Oh, infest. Yeah, I don't even get that. Basically, yeah, just max his E, and definitely take Denny down. Open wounds. And just pull it all out. What you're a Denny Defender, Wivrix?
Yes, sir.
That's quite the title.
A Denny Defender. Ugh. So you're okay with this whole Elite Dangerous thing?
I think the man can do whatever he wants. Are we going to split into two factions now?
We
already
Helm
did
the
that,
Denny
though.
Defenders?
Hey, we're gonna divide. Yes, we are.
There was already Team Proud and Team Ursi. Now it's going to be Denny v. Roland.
No, it doesn't have to be. It just needs to be Denny v the people.
I like Denny.
Me too. Me too.
He tried to. I can't believe So I guess we could tell this.
Yeah,
on the
go
show.
ahead.
When we were setting up the show.
Setting up this show.
What did he say?
This
when
show.
We were setting this show like before.
He
the
said
pre-show.
engines off.
Yeah, his engines off. Like what did Cyphus say?
And I was like, what?
And yeah, and he's like, oh, I was talking about my ship. Like what do you mean you're talking ship? It's like that's like people using like motion like audio controls to like talk to like their like Alexa or talk to their like Xbox or whatever. It just like that was a bridge too far for me.
It was bad. We're in the middle of talking with Denny, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we can definitely get that person on engines off," and we're like, "What? What the fuck did you just say?" And engines off, and then you hear whoever it is, the famous guy Shatner, say, "Yes, sir, engines turning to 0." It's cool, whatever. It's just I lost my friend to a space sim. It sucks. Wivrix, you had some insight on Overwatch as a spectator sport?
Yeah, I had right after Overwatch had come out, I had a pretty good conversation with BTS's Blaze, who had just got done kind of running the Overwatch Summit, and I was curious mainly about like because camera control and stuff like that in Dota, it's pretty plainly obvious if you see someone play a game how you would kind of watch it, but I wasn't sure about in Overwatch and he had kind of let me know about how all that stuff works, but there's a main problem with basically anticlimactic games where, in Overwatch, let's say there's a certain amount of time left in your team, there's absolutely no possible way that you can even get to the point, let alone try and capture it in this amount of time. So it leads to these really, really anticlimactic endings on games where there's 30 seconds left. You have no down to the buzzer, big game-winning shot. Everyone just kind of sits around for 30 seconds because there's absolutely nothing they can do.
And there's money on the line, so they're not going to like put their head out and get shot or anything like that. So they're good at hiding, and people are not good at taking them out, basically.
Yeah, well, there's no concede either, right? Like in Dota, if the game is like clearly lost, you just it's GG. And like the game ends, but they don't have that in Overwatch, correct? I feel like I haven't played the game in a while because I honestly became very disinterested in it. But like I also tried to watch Overwatch a while, and I'm not into it. And that being said, like I like watching CS:GO, but I think I like watching that for very different reasons than I dislike watching Overwatch. But
that's a very good point, Ursi. Think about it like this, Roland. If every time, let's say you're watching a huge game and the biggest game-ending team fight happens, but no GG is called. You just sit there and watch their death timers tick down while the other team just takes the buildings. That would kind of ruin the flow of that game.
Yeah, and Blizzard's been so good about making competitive games that blow up. I'm surprised that I really did think Overwatch would take over. Well, not necessarily take over. I knew Dota would live on, but I thought it would be more popular as an esport. instead
It's
of just
accessible.
instead of just like a recreational game, a recreational, massive multiplayer game. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
But then again, like they didn't promote StarCraft 2 well as an esport, and they didn't promote HOTS as an esport. Also, like it had because of the game itself.
yeah.
So like they had like one good run with like Brood War.
Well,
and it was like, oh, this
Wings
is
of
good.
Liberty was huge too. That was the biggest esport around until Dota.
Yeah, but that was
Um,
also like, I mean, a lot of people would say that was just riding on like the coattails of like Brood War being a really good competitive game, and then Wings of Liberty being an accessible like visual game.
I loved watching StarCraft. It was my favorite. I still prefer watching StarCraft over Dota. I will say that.
I watched a lot of StarCraft. I was terrible at playing it, but I watched a lot. Just 'cause
It was
I thought
really fun to
very
watch. It was really fun to watch. Wivrix, once again, I'm going to give you the same thing, Hadakamara. Thank you for helping build this community up. You're a great guy. Thank you for casting like every Wednesday. You've gotten really good at it, my friend. Is it something that you want to go into?
Yeah, absolutely. I jumped in one of the in-house lobbies just to cast to play around, and I ended up having a lot of fun. It's something I absolutely could see myself doing here in the Dota community.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, sir, and I know you can do it. And thank you for the Jesus. Thank you for the Jesus candles.
You are welcome.
All right, so our next caller, I like Wivrix, by the way. He's a good guy.
I couldn't tell.
He is a good guy. Our next caller is Tulikard. He is 1,551 MMR. Tulik, what's your question?
Hey guys, hello Roland specifically, not to leave you out today.
Oh,
Of course, great to see you guys.
hey, how you doing?
Not bad at all. My question now, I've over the last many episodes I've been listening to, it's come to my attention that a few people have jumped back to grinding MMR. Well, perhaps grinding's not quite the word for it, but jumping back to playing support roles for MMR gain. I was curious, I'm not sure if it's been mentioned before, but why do you do that? Is it something you're more comfortable with, or is there another reason for it? And how do you get those wins that that I'm assuming you wouldn't get if you played, say, a safe lane, which you prefer their Roland or mid for Ursi? Is there a reason for it? I'm not sure if Ursi does, but that's what I mean.
I mean, I've almost always climbed as a support. I kind of pride myself in having a varied role and hero pool, so I've varied it, but I would say probably 80% of my games, less so nowadays, less so now, but in general, like especially when I climbed to 5K, at least 80% of my games were support. And I think it has to do with just like the kind of player I am and the kind of players that you play with, right? Like if you are playing in a region or at an MMR bracket or what have you that lacks good supports, if you are that good support, you're going to be doubly effective. And vice versa, if you are in a bracket where there's tons of for instance, like if you go to like 5K plus, there's a lot of people you run into that got to that, especially go like 6K plus, that got there because they were just really good at mid or really good at carry. So if you're really good at support and you're playing at 5K, you can support that person just fine. But if you're really good at mid and you're at 5K, but then you get in that game with like, so for instance, like you see this more commonly at high MMRs, but you do see it sometimes in lower MMRs, and especially in party MMR. But if you're a really good mid player and you're 5K and you're brought into a game, it's a 5,700 average game, and there's some 6,500 guy on your team, doesn't matter how good you are at mid, like you're gonna either lose the game because you insist on mid and you're gonna be against some guy that's like way better than you, and similarly, you're gonna be taking mid from your high MMR person. And that's acceptable if you're playing in like in a similar game, like if it's a 4K average game and you're 3950, it's not a big deal, right? But so when you get to higher MMRs, it is very valuable to know both a core and a support. And I still play support most of the time when I play solo queue. It's a lot of Rubik and stuff like that. But similarly, like if I have the chance to take mid, and I'm gonna take mid. Like if I'm in the game and I'm the highest MMR, I'm going to take mid every time. Or not every time, but most of the time. Unless, like, I don't want to contest people that instantly click it in general. But in general, like, I like to know both. And I know, Roland, you've also climbed as support, right? Recently, like support gets a bad rap, but if you want to climb, like it's totally viable.
Yeah, no. Playing support from 0 to 3K, I would say, is a no-no. If you want to climb quickly, I wouldn't do it. I would play mid, off lane, or safe lane, and I would get really good at like 2 cores and play them either in safe lane or off lane, because really, from what I've seen, I didn't play. I played 1K actually for a long time. I played in the 1K bracket. So in the 1K bracket, I found that it didn't matter where I played sniper. Whether it was off lane, mid, or safe lane, I was probably going to do okay as sniper because I was a good sniper. That was the hero that I played. Now, I could be a great Bane or a great Lich or a great Crystal Maiden, but the problem is I have to be so great at Crystal Maiden that that it's just way too hard to make as much impact as being just semi-good at sniper to win the game. So if you want to support, I would suggest being like 3K or higher if you're going to do it exclusively. And even then, you're going to find yourself frustrated because you create space, you buy wards, you do everything for a carry that just runs into a battle and dies. And it is tough.
Yeah.
It is. So I don't know. I feel like if you're 1551 MMR, just go ahead and learn a core and stick with it, or learn a couple cores and stick with it. Like, I feel like if you can learn Medusa, you also have Drow. If you can learn Sven, you also have Jug. I feel like they're heroes that hey, dude, as far as last hit animation goes.
Oh, okay, all right.
As far as
you made some very bold statements. I was like, Sven and Jug are very different heroes.
As far as last hit, I'm not talking like skill build. Sorry, that did come across. I feel like Dusa and Drow both have an equally hard last hit animation, and if you can learn how to do it on Drow, it transfers over to Medusa. Jug and Sven have a pretty easy last hit animation, but if you can do it on Jug, you can do it on Sven, vice versa. So, anyway. That's my opinion.
I will say, I do think, ironically, this is the one position I rarely play, but I do think offlane's a really good place to climb in any MMR bracket, because it's like, you're going to run into people very frequently that are spamming mids, right? That, like, mid is a very highly contested, same thing with safe lane, highly contested role. Whereas offlane is,
you can get it.
Like,
you'll get it.
Yeah, you can get it realistically.
Yeah.
And you can play a lot of really high impact heroes that aren't going to necessitate you like winning mid or winning safe lane or doing anything incredible.
Like Necrophos.
Offlane's a great place. Yeah.
You can throw Necro on the offlane. It's fine.
Yeah. And it lets you set the stage. Like, a lot of people have problems in a lot of MMR brackets in that, like, people just have standoffs, or people just don't, like, things just don't happen. And offlane's a great, like, a lot of offlane heroes are going to be the ones that can set the stage and be like, okay, I'm playing offlane, Clockwork. I can just go and get pickoffs. I can X, Y, and Z. I can play Nyx, stuff like that. So offlane's a great place to do it. And a lot of those offlane heroes work in duo lanes, which are very common in a lot of MMR brackets.
I agree.
And you're still going to get a lot of farm. Like, offlane Weaver is really good, and you can just get farm with it. And people aren't going to be tri-laning you because their team is also going to have terrible comps.
I agree.
I do find, I will say, almost all my success playing support and climbing is when I'm playing support for people either wildly better than me or at the similar MMR. But if you're playing, and especially if this is like, if you have the not really cognitive dissonance, but if you are, let's say you never play ranked, and your unranked is in high skill, but your unranked, but your ranked is still like 1550, let's say, then you're gonna have a much easier time climbing as a core, right? Because a lot more with that farm, you're gonna farm more efficiently. But if you are a 1550 MMR player playing at 1550, or a 3500 player or a 2500 player playing at a skill level that is more or less equal, then you're going to have a better time supporting than you are going to climb at like a similar rate supporting than you will if you're playing like mid or anything. Whereas if you're definitely better than your MMR, you can really just dominate just because you're mechanically better and strategically better than people by playing a safe laner or a mid or an off laner.
I agree.
So that's something to take into consideration. That's really important.
I agree. Tulik, thank you so much for your question, and I hope that helps you, my friend.
Sadly, I'm left disturbingly morose. It's okay. It is one of those things I'll have to deal with. I hear that Elite Dangerous is good.
I'm just glad I got to hear the word morose today. That's
Yeah,
such a good
morose
word.
is a good word. And Elite Dangerous is awesome. I just picked it up as we were playing this show. I've been flying through space this whole time, hand on throttle and stick. Thank you, Tulik.
I say that, but I'll never leave Eve. Anyway, you guys, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Okay, our next caller is Archimedes 1988. His MMR is 2100. Archimedes, how are you? What's your question?
Hey, what's happening, fellas?
Not much. You know.
So here's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
I've been working on my friends that I game with to pick up Dota for quite a while, and it finally happened. So about 5 or 6 of them are starting to get into the game. My problem is I can't teach 5 or 6 at one time. So what do you guys recommend for good guides, good starting places for guys who have played games like Heroes of the Storm and kind of have an idea, but never anything as intense as Dota? Last hitting, positioning, skill builds for heroes. Where do you guys recommend starting guides and videos for that kind of thing?
Okay, I'm going to stop Percy because I know he wants to go first. The DotP community is where they should be, all your friends. Because, I mean, just while we've been doing the show, need 1, need 2 more if anybody interested in playing. It's great to just get them in games with other people. It's an extremely patient community where you can just put 2 of your friends in with these people and just be like, hey, just don't I know that we say these words when we're around each other, but just don't do it when you're around these guys. They're super weird about these words. And then you just throw them in games with them and then they'll learn. I think. Percy? Yeah, and watch Purge videos.
I was going to say, as much as I appreciate this shameless plug of our content and our community, the important thing is Purge. It's such a cliche but Purge videos and the Welcome to Dota You Suck, those guys are so honestly so good. And his new series with Day 9 is just super educational. I was watching it and I learned a ton, but it is very useful for contextualizing information, and he just teaches in a way that's very accessible. So that's the easy answer, right? Is just send the Purge guides. And I think Dota has a weird learning curve, and I'm sure you'll see this. I've taught or at least tried to teach maybe 10-ish people to play Dota from scratch with varying degrees of gaming experience. And there is definitely a dynamic of Dota has a really steep learning curve, but once you get that bit of information, you're hooked and you can get to the other information, right? I don't know, it's like learning science, right? You can't just jump into the really complicated stuff without first knowing basic biology and basic stuff.
Learning science is hard. You're absolutely right. When I learned science, it took so long. God,
Shut up.
Is this what they're teaching history majors? It's just called science. I learned it. Well, I learned science back in 2003. It was easy.
I was trying to be accessible. Okay, I'm just not even gonna touch that one. But it's always a big thing with when I've taught people is that when you're really new, you just need to have a fun time and play with your friends. But then once you hit that point where you're actually I want to really play Dota and play on your own and all that, that is a very different beast in and of itself. And that's when playing with stacks of people that are better than you and having them walk you through things, etc., is very educational. So I'd say at first just get them to have fun and enjoy the game, and then once they're getting the gist of things, then jump into showing them serious guides and stuff. But at the very least, everybody should just read Welcome to Dota You Suck and watch a Purge video or 2 at the start. Because they're accessible, and he's not absurdly good at Dota, so it's not if they watched a pro game, right, it would be pointless because there's so much unnecessary information and things just move too quickly, or a high level streamer. But Purge is he's really good at Dota, of course, but he doesn't he's not moving his camera around crazily. He's playing in a very accessible way. So once they have that basic information, send them there. And that's my easy advice. Also, DotP community or whatever, that's good too.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I definitely like the Purge videos. I'm looking forward to the Day 9 series. Well, one more thing to add on to that question then, since you have helped so many people learn the game, what do you do when you're over and over you tell the ones you're trying to teach, to watch the guides, to look up hero guides on the 1 or 2 heroes they're trying to learn, and they just don't really want to do it. They just want to play. Like, I know it's fun to just play, but I also know that it's gonna be hard to get better if you don't take the time to look at those guides. How do you convince somebody to do that?
Do you yell? Do you yell at them? No, I'm serious.
No,
like, they need to be yelled at. You
You
should definitely yell at your close friends. Definitely ruin some friendships, because that's what Dota's gonna do.
Okay,
yeah.
should I yell at my wife too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the first one, right? No, don't do that.
That's gone so well historically.
No, don't do that. That's scary.
I struggle to give an uplifting good answer to this question, because almost all the people that I like, a lot of my real life friends, for instance, I think like I have like 6 or 7 of them that like have been into Dota at one point or another, but they all have very differing mentalities, and like some people just aren't the type to like want to invest themselves in a game and getting good at it, especially like Dota. Like, to be good at Dota, you need to invest like a good few thousand hours. Like, that is an absurd time commitment for a lot of people. And like, so I've become understanding of the many people that like play Dota. They play like 50 games, 100 games, and it's just not for them. Like, they're not willing to commit, because it is like a tough sell to be like, okay, here's this game. It's really fun, but for it to become fun, you got to be good at it, or you got to play in a 5-stack with people who also aren't going to like care that much. So it is difficult, honestly. Like, there is a certain amount of people that they're just like not going to do it regardless. Like, they just aren't the type of people to commit and be like, I'm going to sit here for an hour and watch one guide on one hero, and it's not going to make me wildly good at the hero. I still have to invest another 5 hours into actually playing the hero to be good at him. Like, for everybody, honestly, that's like, I've struggled with this on many occasions with many different people.
If they just want to play,
not for everybody.
If they just want to play, seriously, the DotP community is a great place to start, and they'll find games, and and you don't have to take the burden. Other people take the burden.
You just have to play with similar people. Now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't play with my real life friends anymore. Oh, I play with a couple of them, but many of them I don't play with because they play like just to have fun, and they don't like seriously want to learn.
That?
Well, like, because I always say like I have fun by winning, right? Like, I don't want to like play a dumb game where like we all build like Dagon first. Like, that's fun once, but like, and once in a while, but like I just, my mentality is very fundamentally different than theirs. And like, even within the DotP community, right, like you see, or any community for that matter, there are people that like just play Dota, have fun, and that's a completely valid way to enjoy the game. There are people that are trying to learn something from every game, and they're trying to be like, okay, I'm 3,000 MMR right now. By next week, I'm gonna be 3,100, and the week after that, I'm 3,200. Like, so it's just different strokes for different folks. Like, you know.
Indeed. Okay. Wow. We let you drone on too long. Archimedes, does that help?
Yeah. That
Thank
does help
God.
a lot. I'll definitely direct them towards you guys' community and the podcast and whatnot, and try to give them a swift kick in the pants to get on some of these guides and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The purge guides are really accessible. I'll
Oh
say.
God.
Like,
Ursi,
I'm sorry.
shut
I'm
up.
sorry. I just want his friends to have fun.
God
and be
damn.
good.
Okay. Thank you.
Just gotta get the hook in them.
All right,
Enjoy the
Archimedes.
show.
Hey,
Stay
thank
safe
you.
from the weather out there.
We will. Hey, have a great day,
We
man.
hope so.
Hey, Ursi, just shush. We're trying to do a show here. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
for coming
All
over
right, see
here.
you, fellas.
See you guys. Okay. God, dude.
I'm sorry.
Fucking lingerer with your.
We'll move on.
Okay,
Move on.
thank you. Our next question is from Quick Snoopy. Quick Snoopy is a 1600 MMR player. Snoop, what is your question, sir?
I actually really wanted to talk about the Dota Pit tournament. Since it did happen yesterday, I felt like it got some like unnecessary hate, and I wanted to get your guys' opinions on it. And then, of course, like the finals, I don't know if I really want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen it.
Feel free, because I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I did. I know the results, but we will not spoil. Spoiler free, guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't turn the podcast off. We're not going to spoil it.
So as far as the hate goes, a lot of it came from the technical difficulties that they had
Yes.
running the servers. And as we know, it was in Croatia. But I feel like the hate was like a little too much. I don't know. I know Shanghai Major had some issues, but this turn.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, I mean, give Reddit any reason to be mad at anything, and the hate's going to be too much. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that Reddit took this way. Also, some prominent community members sent out some tweets saying this shouldn't be the case. From what I've heard, and this is not, I don't know if this is absolutely truth or not, I heard that it was actually Valve's fault for the technical difficulties with Dota Pit, being that the games were being paused and the packet loss and everything like that, that was actually an issue with servers in Croatia and completely to be blamed on Valve. And it just sucks for Dota Pit that happened to happen during their tournament. With that being said, there were also issues with, we hate the music that Dota Pit's putting on. We hate this about Dota Pit. We hate that about Dota Pit. I don't feel like people would have complained about the music if there weren't the technical difficulties. I think Reddit is really good at one post getting to the top and then sparking a hate thread where another person wants to get their post to the top, so they find another thing that's bad. And then it's just this like circle jerk of people trying to get their post to the top of our Dota. And what's relevant, what is topical, Dota Pit being bad. And so that's what people are going to post about. Some of them are going to get upvoted into the top. And yeah, it was unnecessary hate. I feel really bad for Dota Pit because they put a lot of money up front. They put a lot of work. And I think it was actually just server issues. And we've all dealt with it. And I mean, when I'm sitting here and I can't find a game because there's a server issue, I'm mad at Valve, you know? And I may get on, I'm not going to get on Reddit and say anything, but some people may. It's unfortunate that all of that got pointed at Dota Pit.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Like the reason I wasn't watching Dota Pit was all I heard was like, oh, it's delayed again. Oh, you know, haha, memes, whatever. But there is just a lot of bandwagoning. I think the nature of like
hive
the
mind.
internet.
Hive mind.
Yeah, it's hive mind. And it's just like you said, where one bad thing and then it's like, oh, well, actually there's this bad thing. And then the answers get kind of left in the lurch. Yeah. So, I mean, it just kind of, I know there used to be a way. So I know one of the primary complaints with Source 2 was in Source 1, there was a way to play Dota on a local area network. And that's what some tournaments were doing, if I recall correctly. And I'm pretty sure this was a thing. And that does not exist anymore. And so that was a way to play offline if need be in these kind of situations with Source 1. But obviously, for a variety of reasons, that does not exist in its current format. So we don't have that. I think it's just kind of the nature of the game. Like, it's just, we're going to have some random weird issues. And, you know, that's just online gaming, right? And you want to avoid it. And hopefully Valve can like set up some loopholes like offline play to fix this going forward. But it is just a very unfortunate situation for Dota Pit, regardless of their musical choices.
Yeah, I didn't. The music was whatever. I mean, I'm sure were scrambling. I know that I read a couple of posts from Gods saying that, I mean, the talent was paid a flat rate, as talent usually is paid a flat rate, and they had to put in like 16-hour days, and they're getting paid for what would usually be maybe a 10-hour day. So
yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother thing. People are gonna bitch. That's the thing. It's unfortunate. It would be nice for Valve to come out and say, hey, you guys, you know, we're the ass here in this situation because our servers weren't working. Please don't swear off Dota Pit forever, and please don't say how much you hate X personality. It's our fault, actually. Our servers had whatever technical server issue, and Dota Pit is a great organization. Love Gabe. But we're not going to get that, and Dota Pit just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's sad.
Yeah, yep. I really enjoy Dota Pit, and I'm trying to think of, and like another thing too is like not being selfish too, because like you said, the workers are working very long hours. You have players like Sumail and stuff, because I believe at the time it was an EG game that was going on. And so like you have these players too that are, you know, they're wanting to play, they're in the middle of a game, and then something like this happens. And it's not just the inconvenience of the viewers, but like the players and the people working the event as well. And I think it can get stressful very quickly when situations like these arise. So I mean, we're just knowing that we're not the only ones like being affected by this, you know, and try to think about others when these things happen. The offline play would be really nice to see in the future, though.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice if you could put an Ethernet cord from one computer to another and have that work, you know. like old LAN days when we just get a router and just route all of our computers together, and it didn't matter. You didn't have to rely on servers or anything like that. And I'm sure Dota Pit is pissed off. I would be as an organization, because all the marketing that went into it, all the time, the money, flying all the players out, and I mean, they got a huge hit on viewership. They got a huge hit on their brand. But yeah, it sucks. I mean, it would be nice to have Reddit, be like, hey, calm the fuck down, Reddit. But that's never going to happen, because when you get anonymity and hive mind, there's just nothing you can do. So unfortunate for Dota Pit. I feel bad for him.
Also, yeah. And it is like, positivity is pretty boring. Like the famous thing that if a radio show says, call in if you hate the Red Sox, you're going to get a lot more calls than if you say call in if you love the Red Sox. Like, that's just like going to happen. Like, people just like to be negative. It's very cathartic and fun. So that's just what Reddit's going to be, and that's just what Twitter's going to be, etc. It's ridiculous, though, that, like, I remember one of the tweets was that they were ending at, like, 4 a.m. Croatian time, whatever time zone that is, and, like, that's absurd. Like, that's ridiculous. You should be working, whether you're a player or a talent, like, nobody should be there for, like, an absurd amount of hours like that. Like, yeah. That is not a sustainable business model. That's for sure.
You better bet if that was a Valve tournament, those servers would have been up and running, or there would have been the issues would have been solved much sooner. So I feel bad, honestly, because Dota Pit was always, I never had heard a bad thing about Dota Pit, and now it's just hive mind has taken over, and Dota Pit's brand just took a huge hit. Sucks.
Yeah. We used to have this more with other tournaments too. It hasn't been like a big deal recently. Like, if you remember watching tournaments like a couple of years ago, there was delays constantly. And I think we're maybe a little pampered with the recent stability of things. Yeah. So I think that may be adding to it.
Yeah. I mean, you get good production crews in there, and the servers happen to be working. It was just unfortunate. Quick Snoopy, thank you for your question, and I agree with you. I wish people were less harsh on it. I enjoyed the tournament. I enjoyed the games. I didn't get super mad when there was a technical difficulty, because I've had them myself, and I know just how stressful and awkward and horrible it feels when you have one. And of course, they didn't want that to happen. So I appreciate your question, sir.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. All right, RC, this show has been going on long enough. I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna put it out of its misery. Although that was a great show, I thought we got a lot of feedback on this show from a lot of different people. Not feedback, questions. So of course you can find us defensethepatients.com, defensethepatients@gmail.com, where you can email in questions for this show, or just email in anything you want. Nudes, that's fine.
As long as you're of legal age.
I'm just joking. I don't even know why I made that joke. I just see it all over on Reddit where it says send nudes. Like, there's always some hidden send nudes. Like, it's like finding Where's Waldo. Don't send nudes, please. You can go to Patreon /Defense of the Patients. This is a great way to support Defense of the Patients, support the community, help us do more fun things for the community, and also, pay for everything that we're doing, keep us going. Like I say on every show, you'll still get 5 shows a week, whether you donate or not. But if you donate, you'll definitely get 5 shows a week. We're damn close to doing 2 patron-only shows. If you want to be in on that, donate. Also, a free way to help us out, iTunes. Leaving a review on iTunes is a great way to, help us with search engine optimization, also iTunes optimization. We're getting a lot of reviews, so go on iTunes, leave us a review. Honest review, please. Helps a ton. Also, Sundays, we're going to start doing a DotP stream starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. It is going to be a DotP team. It's me, Ursi, Proud, Cyphus, and Groombo? Grootster? Grouty?
Something like that.
Grouty will be the 5th. We're going to be practicing. I'm guessing Proud will probably take like the captain role and be super authoritative, but we're going to be taking these games seriously. Denny is definitely going to be the worst on the team. And so on. God, what else do we have to plug?
We should. Plugging that's pretty important. It's going to be a learning experience. If you like the team, people like hearing team comms, and we've gotten good response to that, and now that we're kind of co-opting Hakuna Matata practice, which is on hiatus for now, into this.
Who's going to be second worst on the team?
Grouty.
I don't. Oh, okay. I just was curious, like what the pecking order was.
I am dead center middle. Yeah, I am.
So,
I'm middle of the pack.
You know how you guys made fun of me for at TI? We just get into arguments of who's the best on Hakuna Matata. It's going to be like that again, except it's going to be less about me and more about you three.
Proud will be the best. You'll be the second best. I'll be the third best. And then Denny and Grumbo will have to fight for the scraps.
No, I don't think that's how it's going to shake out. I think there's going to be a lot of fighting. It's not necessarily going to be involving me and Proud.
It's going to be interesting. Also, Denny, can you just do the plugs, man, please?
No, this is your show. See you later.
Okay. I can do it.
Okay, no, it's your show. You pull out a notebook?
Yeah, I have them right here.
What have I already hit?
On my thing.
What have I already hit?
Let's see. Twitch.tv/.btv.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we're streaming all that. YouTube.com/.btv1, numeric 1. That is where we put up our VODs. I believe we'll put up VODs of our team practice, too, on Sundays if you can't make it to the stream for whatever reason. On our website, we have an Amazon banner you can click through to buy things, and it gets cut. It costs them extra. On Twitter, I'm at Ursinity. Our show is at DotP_show. We all tweet from the show account now, not just whoever. So expect to see some more action there.
It was me. It was only me and Denny.
Yeah.
90% me.
Yeah, 9%. 9% Denny, 91% me.
Oh,
definitely.
And last but not least, Reddit r/Fence run by Gushi. It's a fun place. Good place for long form conversation.
What about?
It's hard to have that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Discord.gg/.p also.
What about Wednesday? What's going on Wednesday?
In houses.
Yeah.
That's what Grady runs.
Grumbo.
He runs those at 9 Eastern. You don't have to sign up. You just have to show up. They're at 9 Eastern on Wednesday nights. There is a multitude of lobbies. They're a lot of fun. They are mixed skill. So you have something for everybody.
Discord.gg.
They're all casted too, almost always. I mean,
every game.
There's always one on stream, and then there's lobbies off stream. But those off stream lobbies are still casted almost always. So if you want to get a game cast, like that's fun in and of itself. I remember my first game that was casted by somebody. It was such an exciting experience.
Yeah.
And even though they were terrible, like they missed plays of mine. Like,
it is exciting.
It was still just
and
fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
So, like, be like,
really
that person's watching me play and talking about it. Like that.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of stuff going on, basically.
Discord.gg/.p. That's also what you have to do if you want to play in houses. Is you have to have communication. Whether that's just listening. If you don't have a mic, that's fine. But you do need to be in the room with your team, listening at least. This is to support good communication amongst teams. Yes. Anyway, this is Roland for everybody asking questions, Ursinity, and the occasional Cyphus saying, "You've got questions, and you've got answers."